Hello out there in crypto land. How's everybody doing today? So another day has passed. It's been about 24 hours since my crash video, and it appears that the crash is continuing. Actually, it has not abated like I initially thought. So where do we sit at right now? Right now, we're looking at Bitcoin on the 2-hour chart just to get a little more granularity into the situation. So we have lack of buying happening up here. We have some continued selling. It looks like it has just begun again. If you remember in my last video, or maybe the video before that, I drew this green bar about where this Bitcoin could possibly go, down into the 4,000 level. That is a possibility. At this point, I'm unsure if it's going to get there. We have the increased volume selling here, which is not a good bar. It looks like it's the beginning of another move, not the end of this particular run. If it was the end of a run, what we would see is a large wick similar to this bar, similar to this bar, and similar to this bar, right? We see these large wicks at the bottom. This is not that bar. This is almost the opposite of that bar, where it broke through a support level and it is now continued lower. So right now we've tested this area of this cup with handle and it's failed. We're sitting down within the handle area, so this area to this area is the handle area. We're sitting in the handle area. It can come back down and test this low. It's pretty open to come back down to 4250 based on this high and these areas. The next level of support would be down here at 4173. And again, if we get a measured move situation, what I did is I took the height of this move, if you recall, and then I actually extrapolated it down. It's hard to say if this is the breakdown or this is the breakdown, to be honest with you, looking at the chart. But the worst case scenario looks like it's going down to about 4,000. So let's say Bitcoin gets down to about 4,000, down to that area. What does that mean? What does that mean? So what I'm looking at here is I see a trend line that is forming with these particular lows right there. So I'm seeing this trend line, which again keeps the uptrend intact. It's not a killer of the uptrend. What this means is that it's not just going to shoot up, it's going to retest, it's going to consolidate. So coming back into this cup with handle is not ideal. However, in a few videos ago, I stated that this is a small cup with handle. This is a much wider base. This is also a type of a cup with handle. If you can see, it's not as curved as this one is. Notice it goes up, sideways. There's a shakeout, then it jumps right back up. So this isn't an ideal cup with handle, but it's still a form of a base with a type of a handle here. This is a much larger cup with handle. This takes precedence over this base. This doesn't mean the move is done. It just means that it's going to consolidate further. So if you have it in here, if you've sold from up here, if you've bought into here, maybe off one of my prior videos, what do you do at this point? That's really up to you. Are you willing to hold through this type of a base move, or do you want to get out and go cash and take a bit of a loss? That's a call that you need to make. Unfortunately, just is what it is. So as far as my positions, I have not sold anything. I have not moved any of my positions during this sell-off. None of them. Actually, I make a change. I did sell a little bit of OMG up here, as luck may have it, and I actually ended up buying into some EOS. So EOS was having a nice run up off this extreme low. I took a little bit off just as a flyer, just like, I think a 5% of my account position. Took this as a flyer, and it looks like that's not doing so hot right now either. But I'm going to hold that for a while. I do like the project in EOS, even though I am underwater, and I will be underwater for quite some time. It looks like. So back to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, we're going to continue this downtrend. We may test this trend line here. We may test this trend line. That could be what is going to support us. If it breaks this trend line, then we're in for some damage. Okay. Then we're in for some damage. Ethereum, we talked about a handle. We're getting our handle. Unfortunately, the rest of the market's going with us. We also talked about this little possible handle situation coming into account for Ethereum. If that's the case, here is the high. We see a momentum up, going sideways, losing momentum, and rolled over. We have that here as well, rolled over. So it looks like we are about here in this possible run out. So maybe we're going to get another move to the downside, undercutting this low. Maybe we get down and touch this level right here. Okay, the 315 to 320 area. Maybe we go and touch here next, and then we come and retest, make a higher low, and then off to the races again. It's hard to say exactly. It looks to be like a larger pattern and a bit quicker than this. You know, time will tell. It's hard to say. We may pop here and roll over. I don't know. I'm not going to get into every single pop and roll, but we are in a handle. We can see lower lows. We are in a consolidation. Almost anything's fair game here. If we look for a trend line of some kind, I don't actively. The only trend line that I do see, is pretty obvious, is this one right here. So that's a pretty obvious trend line coming from the low of the pattern, touching this base. Looks like this was tested, and then we have a higher trend line happening here, right there, kind of in parallel with this one. So, you know, again, come here, maybe we bounce off this trend line and roll over to this one, and then hopefully this continues as support. Same thing with Bitcoin. If this longer term trend line of support fails, look for some further damage. So Bitcoin Cash rolled over from that little pop. Really nothing new to say here. Volume has been weak, which is good in Bitcoin Cash at this particular level. Again, we're sitting at lows of this higher consolidation. So what that means is that there's not a lot of profit here. There's not a lot of selling to happen. If we get into a bear market where people are liquidating positions out of fear, then obviously anything can happen. Bitcoin Cash would move lower as well. Any of these in higher level consolidations towards the bottom of those consolidations can have this type of a pattern with low volume. Not much is likely to happen. However, anything can happen, right? It's a market. It's a free market. There's millions of people trading this, and you know it's going to do what it's going to do. We can use price action to shape our behavior and shape our moves. We still need to have a strategy, though. Are we long-term traders? Are we long-term holders? Are we short-term traders? Do you want to make intermediate moves? You know, there's lots of ways to trade markets. What's Ripple doing? So Ripple's rolling over as well. A lot of these things are rolling over. There doesn't look like much that's actually holding up very well. Same thing in a larger consolidation. Volume has dried up because there's not a lot of profit left in here, so there's not a lot of profit taking. This is probably like just a little bit of fear selling, just a little bit. But we'll see if it accelerates. It doesn't look like it's going to. We're still far from long-term trend lines, especially in Bitcoin, Ethereum. These are the two leaders of the market, if you haven't noticed by now. These are the two leaders of the market. So where these go, everyone else kind of follows. On a personal note, on a technical note, I understand why. On a personal note, I don't understand why, because the technologies are different. These aren't stocks. But, you know, they do tend to move together. All right, so Dash, NAM, IOTA rolled over a little bit. So IOTA had probably one of the largest pops of this shakeout down here. IOTA had one of the largest pops, and now we're right back into the thick of this, which I may pick up another position in IOTA here. The volume isn't as high as it was on this large downturn here, but again, the purchasing here wasn't great either. It was good, don't get me wrong, but it was only for a few bars, and now we're right back into the thick of it. So I may take a flyer here, maybe a smaller position than I would have taken over here. I don't like these lows being retested. If they retest here and pop again, if this level is supported in all these coins, that's really good. Obviously, it failed in Bitcoin. It's still above it in Ethereum, and some others. We're looking to test those levels. IOTA as well. I think if you're not familiar with IOTA, I think it's ranked like 6th or 7th on in terms of market cap. So this is a leading coin, so you have to pay attention to it. So Monero, I think I said in my last video I didn't think the selling was done in Monero. Doesn't appear to be the case. Looks like this one has tested this low and failed at this point. Lackluster volume doesn't mean it can't float lower. It just means the bounce higher may be a little stronger on the bounce up. So when that happens, I don't know. Obviously, it can come back and test this 99, this $100 level. That may be in the cards at this point. So there's lack of buying pressure, And yeah, it looks like we're headed lower in Monero. Let's do a measured move on that. That looks like that looks like this may work in this scenario. So here's our measured move down to this low. Let's try to get this as vertical as we can, and then we move that down to this breakout level. If it were to go measured move, it would go back down to the 88 level. Whether that happens and the $100 mark stops it, it's hard to tell. If we take this up to this top, we're looking more at 97. That looks a little more realistic. So either way you take this, you do see a roadmap down here into the $100 level. So again, whether you hold through that, whether you sell through that, that's up to you and your trading position. I personally am not in Monero, have never been in Monero, but it's a hard call. If you're in down here, I say you hold. If you're in here, that's up to you. If you hold, if you want to lock in profits here, I would do it. I would lock in profits at this point to anticipate a larger downside movement, then maybe jump back in and get the $17, right? Maybe jump back in there. If you're in from up here, I would sell personally. So NEO, we talked about NEO being in a higher level consolidation. Look at this trend line here. Supported, failed. We're now what's called living below this trend line. This trend line is now resistance. It is not support. Resistance becomes support. Support becomes resistance. This is now a ceiling for NEO. I don't like it. I really don't like it down here. I don't like the price action. It's not constructive. Whether you like the technology or not is a different issue, but you're going to be holding this one for a long time. You know, unless there's a catalyst. In any of these, there could be a catalyst that shoots us up. You never know. Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic. Chopped out of this movement. Not very healthy price action. These sequential bars down are not healthy. This is not healthy action. They're closing at the low of the range. We've seen this in a couple other coins. Let's look for it again. Here you go. Ripple has these sequential bars to the downside. Not healthy action. Sequential bars to the downside. Bitcoin Cash. Not healthy action. Not healthy action here in Ethereum. And I think Bitcoin. Not sequential bars down, but you have a large bar down. You know, maybe this is the bottom for now, and we come up, and maybe we go down again. But we are in a downward trend now with this level being taken out. Okay, where was I? NEO, Ethereum Classic, Qtum. Ooh, definitely don't like this. Definitely don't like this. This is a bad pattern. What do I see here? This is exactly what I see here. I see a round over. Anytime you see roundovers like that, not a good thing. That means there's literally no one buying this. Qtum, no one's buying this. Honestly, I don't even know much about this one. I think it's ranked like number 14 or something, and I don't know much about it. I'll be honest with you. I think it's lack of market knowledge in Qtum why it's not running. We look at IOTA. Look at that. Whoop, we see pops and drops. We don't see this rounding action. I will say that there's a little bit of rounding kind of right here, but it's very subtle. You'd be hard pressed to see it. This is more of a round over, but it's still not that great. If we go into Qtum, I mean, you can see this rounding over. This is not a good pattern. And can it go much lower? I mean, so here's something that's pretty prevalent. Here is this trend line, which is broken right here. Broken right here. How far can it go? It's hard to say right. It's hard to say right here. We're getting some support here, which is nice. If it stops here, you're testing this high, and this high, and which would be good. Which would be, if this is the end, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. But I just don't like that rounding action. I hate rounding action. Omise Go. Oh, on the contrary, if you see rounding action to the upside, that's really good. If you flip this on its head and go up, I love that. That's really good. Omise Go. Oh, Omise Go. Breaking my heart again. Sitting down here, now we're really testing the high of this particular breakout level. If we do a measured move on Omise Go, coming down here, you know, we could get all the way back down and test this breakout. That would make me even on my position, which would not make me a happy camper. I'll have to think about whether I want to sell this here or not. I really don't want to take this downtrend. It's not my style. So that'd take me down. and lock in a lot of profit for me. Don't know if I'm down for that. We'll have to see. I don't like being flat. So 12% profit I would take on a potential much larger move. With not much happening in the market, I may just sit in Omisego for now. Lisk. Same thing, same story. Much ado about nothing here in Lisk. Did round over a little bit, but within this pattern, so pretty stable at this point. It's like all the sellers have left. So Stratus, Stratus in a larger consolidation. Again, not doing much here. That's the position with much of these. They're in lower consolidations, not doing anything. Pay token already had its shakeout here, not doing much. Living down here, not super healthy. So Monaco coin. So this is something interesting. If you're still with me, thank you. It's 15 minutes. It's a long video, but if you're still with me, thank you, and I'm going to reward you right now. Monaco. This is up 29%. If you look at my chart here, 29%. It's the only coin that's up. The only coin that's up. That is good. That means that when this turns around and accelerates, Monaco has a very good chance of accelerating and outpacing everybody else here. So Monaco had a huge shakedown from 62 all the way down here to 20, and some good volume pops. It's not selling off, so that means that this is an outlier. This is a chart that can continue higher. I'm going to take a position in Monaco. So what else out there? I said I bought a position in EOS. What's happening in EOS? All bad things, to be honest with you. Bad things. EOS isn't looking good, but I took a small flyer position, and I'm going to hold it. I don't think there's much more downward movement in EOS, but I don't think there's much upward movement in EOS either. I think this is going to stay flat. It's living below this trend line here, and if you notice, it went below it, came up, tested it, and came right back in, tested it, didn't even get close to the top here, and failed again. So, you know, I'm in down here. That's fine. In time, I do like EOS as a platform. They had some news last night, which is why they popped, and I bought in on that news, and I was going to hold that position. So that's about it. These are some other kind of really trashy coins. Some of them have good stuff behind them. Komodo is an interesting one. They purchase invoices for companies. Large volume signature here, holding at highs. Didn't really move much during this downtrend, so this could be a very strong one if you're looking at a longer term hold. Trigger is gun-based technology. Looks like they're doing an IOTA with guns. Could be interesting. Some people think so. So we have a little bit of curling action here happening in Trigger. Good for some flyer. I have a position in Trigger. I also have a position in P-Toy. Again, I'm not recommending these. You see these on my charts. I just want to show you. I do have a position in P-Toy, mainly because there's a gorgeous cup with handle in P-Toy. It's getting a little ugly. I thought it was going to pop out here, but it pulled way back into the base. I'm not happy with it at this point. I may cut my position in half in P-Toy and see what this cup with handle does. There's a music coin, which is a very interesting coin. They have a technology based around music that is strictly based around music, and things in certain verticals tend to do really well, and music verticals tend to do really well. So this is ICO. We see it's already had a big run. It's consolidated. It's running again. I do not have a position in music, but I think it's an interesting coin. All right, guys, there you go. Again, some of the lower rank coins there. We have trend lines that have or have not to be tested, but we may end up testing them. Some more patience is due. Unfortunately, my call for this one being over was incorrect, and this is where we may be headed in the near future, guys. So have a good one. Comment if you stuck with me this far. Thank you very much. It's been a long video. Have a great day.